What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about social media. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of adapting and changing and preparing and hedging yourself against possible changes in the climate of social media. So what does all this mumbo jumbo mean? Basically, stuff like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter oftentimes changes. And sometimes they change on a monthly, daily, yearly basis. And some of their changes are huge. Sometimes it has to do with ranking algorithms, sometimes it has to do with search algorithm, and it is whatever that they please to do. They have overarching goals and purposes in mind. Sometimes it is to better rank videos that they think are of better caliber, or posts that are of better use to people on Facebook, what they call edge rank. And Google does this as well. Sometimes it's just to favor other content for whatever reason. And arguably, for the most part, it's for the better. It's so that channels and websites and pages that try and game the system by using fake links or fake thumbnails or whatever else does not get the top result on the search page or whatever else, or the news feed. And I used to think that this wasn't a huge deal at all, and that okay, it changed the algorithm. Okay, certain Facebook pages or YouTube channels have now dropped very much in ranking, and it's for the better because now the better ranked, more deserving channels get higher rank. And I thought it wasn't a big deal, and even if it dropped your rank or whatever, it's not going to hurt you that much. And as I've been diving more into this, I've realized that that's far from the truth. Sometimes these things can affect people dramatically. And sure, it does cut out a tremendous amount of the crap out there sometimes, but oftentimes it can hurt good channels too. It's a bit of the drawback to it. And I've seen specific case studies of this play out for Google.com, the actual search engine, YouTube search algorithm, as well as Facebook search algorithm. And it goes back to like the whole theme about like one, adapting, and then two, having other platforms out there to protect yourself. And the biggest one for Google, and most people who have been on the website grind know about this. It was a huge algorithm change around 2011, 2012. And any big SEO guy knows about this. It was called like the Penguin algorithm shift. And basically they updated their search algorithm and changed what they favored. And it was a drastic change. And it literally dropped a ton of websites ranking. Sometimes rightfully so. Many people were hacking the algorithm and using a lot of fake backlinks and stuff to get their websites ranked high on Google, and then they would make money off ads, affiliate links, all this stuff on their crappy website. On the flip side though, there were a lot of good websites that got hit as well. And the common theme that you'll see surface is that if you want long-term success and long-term growth, and you have a good, common, ethical, worthy channel that actually delivers real value, not just the value you think it delivers, but it's actually helping a lot of people, then you adapt and you keep at it and you work at it, and over time Google or YouTube or whatever will hopefully see that, and you don't just give up when the algorithm changes, and over time you still do well. You just have to keep, sometimes it requires changing or adapting. And now let's get to Facebook pages and YouTube channels and YouTube videos, because this is a place where I thought wasn't a big deal. But there are Facebook pages and YouTube channels that I've heard of, like Strawberry 17's channel, who took a huge hit based off changes to how the music system worked and how they ranked videos, and that kind of sucked, and they lost a lot of traffic coming to their videos. In a day, you can go from getting a lot of organic reach on Facebook to getting a fraction of that. And that sucks a lot. And I recently heard a story about an entrepreneur who, in the last 6 months, and this constantly happens, in the last 6 months, he started his own, Facebook page, and he started this whole thing, and it was like a whole startup venture, and he was selling hippie clothing and hippie merchandise online. And he had sacrificed a lot, worked really hard, endless days, went through a breakup, and got his business running online finally, and had an investor on board. And one of the biggest hits he took was from Facebook's algorithm change. And that sort of stuff sucks, and it just sucks to go through that, but it happens. And therefore, it's, unfortunately how it works. Like, and most people are aware of this to a certain extent. Um, Sometimes you are at the whim of the platform that you're behind, but I think the people who stick through it and then just, really deliver uh, and stick through it, they still manage to do very well despite, a huge drop. So despite that drop, he's still plowing through, and he's making only a fraction of what he used to. However, um, he's still going at Facebook, and he knows there's still value in it. And so it's kind of, horrible that your edge rank and your page rank and that sort of stuff can happen, and um, that can directly affect your profits. However, one strategy is for people to, hedge themselves with multiple social media platforms, an email list, your own website, that sort of stuff. So if you have a Twitter and Instagram and so forth, um, those can all work in conjunction to keep you from losing everything. And I've actually written a couple articles on my website, which you can find in the description below, where I talk about this and the importance of it. And one article is about my entire story about back when I was a teenager. I grew a blog in a very niche online game. It's a game that has now been acquired by Disney called Club Penguin. And now I think millions of people play it. But um, this was back in 2005-ish. I grew this to get millions of visitors. It had tens of millions of visitors, and because I posted a affiliate link, WordPress shut down my site because it was hosted by the WordPress domain. And at that time, at that era uh, on the internet, I was just unsure about the whole thing and didn't want to start my own domain and didn't want to go through all that trouble of doing so. So I kept it on WordPress's self-hosted domain, which means I didn't have to pay for it. But rather than having my own domain name, it was my website. It was watex.wordpress.com. That was the name of my website, and rather than my own website like watex.com. And so it got shut down because it was against the terms of service to post any affiliate links. And so it was a zero tolerance policy. They came down and shut me down, and I had a very, very tough time recouping even a fraction of the visitors because I had no backup platform to reach them on. And so once they realized the site went down, they had no idea where to find me. And a fraction of them were Googling where I went, and they were going to imposter websites. But the majority just, they left and they went to competitor websites that did similar type stuff. And that sucks. So I talk about in that article why you need your own domain name, why it's important to hedge yourself, and so forth. And I see certain YouTube channels doing that very well. And a couple have done this. One is I'm Schmacked. That they're a mature content college type YouTube channel that had their entire channel shut down after getting 250,000 subscribers. And luckily they chose to hedge themselves by building up strong followings on multiple social media. So they have right now 250,000 followers on Instagram, 100K on Facebook, a 250,000 on Twitter. And so when their channel got shut down completely, because they had backup videos, they rebooted their YouTube channel, and they recouped a fraction of their followers. And so, that sort of stuff happens, and they still lost a lot of their content because they didn't keep a backup of all of their videos. They only kept a backup of maybe 20 or 30, which is a fraction of what they created, which is a huge loss because they put tremendous time and energy into editing their videos and so forth. And so that sort of stuff can happen, and yeah, it's one of those things. Now, having said that, there's plenty of channels out there who have never had to really do this, and although they do this to a certain extent, I don't think it's to hedge. It's more so just because they do it for fun. They have other platforms there because they enjoy them. PewDiePie and Nigahiga are examples. They have been thriving on YouTube for many years. Same thing with Smosh, and they all have tens of millions of subscribers, and they do very well on all of their videos, and yet none of them have really had to go through any big problems with search algorithm changes or their channel